Okay, hey adventurers, we are in Panama and I've got two species to show you right off the bat. One is right there. This is a spectacled caiman, and in fact, over there's an American crocodile. Let's take a closer look so you can see exactly what the difference is. All right, we're gonna start by taking a close look at this caiman. Now you can see he has a very short snout and it's very rounded, and he's about medium size for a crocodilian species. But we're gonna zoom out, we're just gonna walk over because it is so easy to compare these things when they are next to each other. And right there, we have the American crocodile. And you can see his snout is much longer. He himself is much bigger too, and that snout is very, very pointed. It has a V shape to it rather than more of a U shape that we saw with the caiman. So I am not gonna go swimming in this water, but it is excellent to see that both of these species are here, and a really great way to kick off our adventure in Panama. Now, a lot of times when we're in these tropical areas, we want to look for a lot of things at night. All the frogs and toads, they love coming up at night. That's when they're active. But if we're lucky, we may spot one during the day that's sleeping, like this guy right there. Right up on that tree is a little vermiculated tree frog. Now, he has some pretty good camouflage, although I think he could have picked a better leaf because he kind of stands out like a sore thumb here, which is why we're able to spot him, even though he is pretty high up. He's probably 40 or 50 feet up in the air. So pretty cool to see this guy. Now, one of the cool things about vermiculated tree frogs is that they actually have two vocal sacs. So the males have a vocal sac on that's split on the left and the right side, and I think it's the only tree frog with that unique property in the area. So pretty cool. All right, well, we've got right here a very common species. This is the green iguana. You will often find them in and around water, and this is a subadult. They get bigger than this, but the juveniles are bright green, so really blending in with leaves and stuff. And then the adults get sort of that more sort of forest green color as they get older. So this guy is right in the middle. So this is actually really cool. At night, we're hearing these Túngara frogs a lot, and I know that they use this pool. And let me show you exactly how I can tell. It may be obvious for some of you already, but come in close. So all of these white things right here are, it's a foam nest. So you'll look at it and it's just a bunch of like foam bubbles. But the Túngara frogs actually laid their eggs. They created this little foam thing, and they put the eggs and the sperm inside. And so this basically makes the environment very stable. So if this draws up, they'll still have lots of moisture in the foam nest, and the little tadpoles will be able to hatch and metamorphosize just in the foam. Tatiana has just spotted our other type of common gecko here. This is a black spiny-tailed iguana. So this spiny-tailed iguana is often found in more dry and hotter climates than those green iguanas that we saw before. So you don't see them necessarily like very close to water, even though we are at the ocean. They're not going to go swimming in the ocean. They love these sandy, hot areas, and they're probably living in a lot of the cracks that we see around sort of this man-made structure. In fact, I think he's going to show us exactly where he goes for shelter. And this actually might be a female. The males are generally bigger, have more markings, and have more spines on the tail. So yeah, but you can see that's where she'll duck into. Now those green iguanas we'll often see up in trees. They're very good climbers, and they'll go over branches that allow them to like drop into water very easily. I've never seen the spiny-tailed iguanas get higher than a couple rocks off of the ground. So, you know, I don't think that they're very good at climbing trees. So that is another way to sort of tell the difference in their behavior. So very cool that we've gotten both of the main species of iguana that are here. Let's go see what else is around. Now, when we're out adventuring, we're not just looking for herps, even though that's most of what we highlight. We're also watching for birds, although they're a little harder to film, but we're also looking for mammals. And in fact, right above me, there is a two-toed sloth. Now, this guy looks like he is just scratching himself. You can see on his forearms, he has just 2 toes, but the back toes still have 3 claws there. And all of the sloths have 3 toes on the hind legs, but on the forelegs they will either have 2 or 3 depending on the species. So this guy looks like he's just scratching himself. I'm sure there's a bunch of bugs or stuff that's probably been growing on him or something. But yeah, let's sort of walk around a bit because this spot just seems to be good. For whatever reason, a lot of times when we're exploring, we often come across like little hot spots where we have multiple sloths. So here is another one you see also scratching himself, very active. These 2-toed sloths are nocturnal, so they'll probably be in the same spot all day long. And if we come down here, we're gonna have one more little baby. This one's a little bit farther away, but if we look up into the clump up there, that is a much younger sloth as well. All of these look like they were 2-toed, but we are certainly in range for those 3-toed sloths as well. These 2-toed sloths are nocturnal, so they generally stay in one place all day and then they'll start moving at night, and they stay up in the trees except when they have to go take a poop, which only happens about once a week. Now, we have a couple in this area. So we had that one that was behind me. There's a little baby over here. And then right up here, we have another adult. So really exciting to see that this like line of trees seems to be very productive for them. And my guess is if they are so common here that there's probably more that are just like a little bit more into the forest that we can't see yet. So I'm going to keep my eye out and see if there's even more to find. These are the Hoffmann 2-toed sloths. There are brown-throated 3-toed sloths that could also be in the area, but we haven't seen any yet. And actually, I said there were 3, but I keep finding more. We're up to 6 sloths now, all within a very short range. I mean, honestly, they're just like 2 or 3 trees over from the next one, but all 2-toed sloths so far. So we'll keep an eye out to see if we can find one of the 3 toes and show you the difference. They tend to have more sort of blacker markings around the eye, which is kind of cool and very obvious to see apart. And of course, those front legs have 3 claws instead of 2. So let's keep looking. We've got another mammal. This is one that you're probably very familiar with. This is the common raccoon, and just look at that facial pattern. Very obvious. You can even see the banding of the tail there too. So easy to see, it's field marked. Now these guys are very good climbers. You can see he climbed up at least a little part of the tree. And when I spotted him originally, he was active foraging on the ground here. And so I don't know why he's up, because they're generally nocturnal, but it is definitely cool to see one, and he's giving us quite the display. And now I know that this is a female raccoon. So she is very active, very lovely. So excellent. This is cool. All right. One of the most common mammals you'll find is a little agouti like this. He's running away. They're usually pretty skittish. Well, unfortunately, that's kind of the look that we get with a lot of the agoutis around here. They're very common in spaces where a lot of people are, and they're widespread throughout the country, but they're usually only visible for a short moment before they run off into the jungle. So I'm glad we got at least a little bit of a look. But that's one of the most common rodents that you'll see out there. They're pretty big, but they're not as big as the capybaras. Now, on many of our adventures, we're driving into remote places to go look for crazy species. But you can see here, we're actually at our hotel, at a resort, and there is just been a lot of wildlife here. That raccoon was just over there. The sloths were practically visible from people's windows. So even if you're traveling with your family and you have to stay at what is a very nice resort, don't think that you can't find really cool wildlife there. You just got to get out and look for stuff, and I'm sure you'll turn up all sorts of cool things. Sometimes the birds are really hard to film, but this is a southern lapwing, and he's been pretty cooperative. You can see this is what the adults look like. They have a little bit of iridescence on their shoulders, so they can reflect a lot of sort of metallic brown colors, which is kind of cool. But the reason why I wanted to highlight that bird is because if we come over here, we have a little fluff ball. This is what the juveniles look like. Let's see, there we go. So, you know, they at this age, they do start to show a lot of the same features, just, you know, they just kind of browner and fluffier. So, you know, a bit smaller, but kind of cool that we do have a number of active babies on the property here. So the Túngara frogs have been very active at the hotel that we're staying at. So every day I come by here and I look through this ditch here, and there just seems to be more and more of those foam nests. You can see just a ton of them spanning all the way down that you can see. It's kind of cool that, you know, which night they're gonna produce more. And it's not just this direction, like that direction too. There's just a ton of those little foam nests. It's pretty neat. Every day, a little bit more. Now with the sun setting, we only have a couple more hours of daylight and our day is going to come to an end. But in these tropical environments, really most of the wildlife comes active at night. So I recommend that once the sun sets, you go out and you look for frogs that are calling, snakes that are slithering, and who knows what else. We have put that part of our adventure in Panama in a separate video, so be sure to check that out. Please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps me a lot. I'm Greg Schechter, this is Schechter Natural History, and I'll see you in the field.